Hello. Um, After last week's video, I thought I would go in depth a little bit more about what living in this camper van has shown me, what it's done for me in my journey. When I first moved into it, the only thing that I felt I was really losing was space, that space around me, which I've also talked about in a previous video. Um, at the point in time that I was in my life, I was desperate for a home, something I could call home. And this little camper van has provided me with the confidence and the security that I really needed. But after living in it for a year, I've grown because of the security it's given me. It's given me everything that I needed and more, because what it showed me was that I could be resourceful. When things went wrong, I could actually fix things. It started to give me that confidence and more confidence as each thing that I had to face on my own presented itself, and I achieved something, and then that pushed me on, so that, like a snowball effect, it gave me more and more confidence as I moved on forward. But some of the downsides were that I've realised that driving it, I'm not driving it. I never did get rid of my daily drive, because what I found was if I wanted to take the kids anywhere with me, when I was looking after them, and have been quite often over this past year, this vehicle only has one passenger seat. So moving all my stuff out, I also needed something that I could just load up and take to the thrift shops, or to the tip in some cases. So what I found is that I have a modern day car. It's not new by any chance. I forget what year it is, but it's a early 2000 car, Hyundai. And I found that the automatic and the modern conveniences and the comfort of that, once I got into this camper van and tried to drive it, it's a stick shift, which I don't mind. I learnt to drive in that. But I find that comfort-wise, it's very noisy, everything's shaking, rattling and rolling because of the nature of the vehicle. It's basically a ute with a camper on the back, and there's a lot of weight there. So I soon came to realise that I wouldn't be able to drive it long distances in a day. I would have to do it in short bursts, because I find that as soon as I turn the ignition off, all the muscles across the back of my neck are all screwed up because I'm all tense and nervous. But another thing that I've learned from living in the camper is that the person I bought it off had only used it for holidays for a couple of weeks in a motor camp, and so they were on shore power and all those sort of conveniences. Like when I got it, there was TVs and there's a big satellite thing still up the top, which I'd like to get rid of, but it's more hassle to get rid of it and leaves a big hole in the roof, so I'm not going to. But so every time I had a question about how to use the shower or how to use the hot water, he would just say, well, I've never used it. So the fridge, the hot water, the stove, and the heating in here all runs off gas. And I'm used to living in caravans, or being in a caravan where you had a gas bottle regulator, and it was very basic. The gas ran out, you refilled it, and you were good to go. This is a lot more complicated. And because I've got no hands-on experience of seeing how it works or knowing how it works, and there's so little on the internet when you do research about these vehicles, most of the YouTube videos on how-tos I find are predominantly English and American, and they don't tend to have these vehicles over there. They're a rarity. So there's not a lot on there that I could glean any information on. So what it's taught me is that I would prefer to live in a vehicle that I've built out myself, thereby knowing how to fix it. If I've built it myself, it's simple. Another point is that I think a lot of the people who are now living in cars and vans are going the way of solar panels and getting those, I forget them, power banks, power stations, where the solar panel is charging those and they're running electrical cookers and what have you off them. So they're really going away from gas, and they may have a small butane stove as a backup. If you want to cook outside and fry up a nice piece of steak or something like that. So yeah, I think with modern equipment that's becoming available for camping, um, this camper now is becoming a little bit out of date. I mean, it's functional and it was brilliantly made in the time, which was the 1990, I think it is. Um, it's very adequate, but I'm at a disadvantage being a woman of my age and just not understanding how things work. And if they break down, it means as a pensioner, I have to pay someone to do anything. And so far, my experience of doing that hasn't been very good. I've taken it in for one job, and when I've got it home, I find that someone has, for example, bent the tap, the exterior tap. They've obviously hit something when they've been moving it around, or there's another problem that wasn't there before, like when the sandblasters sandblasted it. I mean, they did their job, but the sand got in and prevented the heater from working. So I'm still in the process of trying to get that fixed. So you can see where I'm coming from. Um, for a younger person or a guy who is wanting to restore this back to its former glory, it's a brilliant little van because it's very, very original, and that's why I'm loath to do any major work in removing the heater and putting in a gas heater, or sorry, not a gas, a diesel heater. Yeah, so getting back to what the van has given me. So the other thing that I've learned is that I think I might have mentioned this in another video too, that I found that, strange as it may seem, I don't even need as much space as this van has got. There's a sink over there, pointing, oh yeah, there. There's a sink which I never use because I've got a bowl which all I do is the little kettle that's on that stove, I fill that up and there's enough hot water in that to do my dishes. And what I tend to do is use vinegar and spray for dishes during the day. For my breakfast is usually pretty simple, same as lunch. And I will just wipe those down and put them in the little bowl. And then when I have my main meal, whether that's at lunchtime or at the evening, that's when while I'm cooking, or when I finish cooking, I'll put the kettle on, boil a jug of water, and that's enough to do all the dishes, to give them a good hot clean. I still haven't been able to utilise the hot water system in here, and because I'm camping on family property, I'm actually can have a shower in the house, but I can also shower out here. I actually bought one of those ones that's it's a little water pump, which submersible, which you put in a bucket of, the right temperature water. Again, the kettle with some cold water is more than enough, and it's a brilliant little shower and just runs on a cigarette lighter. So you just plug that in. I've got some power points above my head here, and I can just plug that in and utilize the shower room and have a shower there. So I'm not using the hot water system, and because even if that was going, I'd like the guy I bought it off, I don't think I'd use it because it takes 20 minutes to heat up, and it heats up a volume of water. I'm not sure of the capacity. Um, and the idea being that you put the water on and heat it up when you want to have a shower or you do your dishes. But honestly, if I just boil the kettle up, there's enough water and it's a few minutes on the stove. So there's another thing I'm finding, I'm just not using. And of course, I got a lot of these tips from watching YouTube videos where people live in cars and just, you know, Toyota Hiace vans or something like that. Um, but the bed's fine. I'm really happy with the bed. That's really suits me. Where I'm sitting here now on the couch, I spend a lot of time in the evenings, especially laying here with my feet up, very comfy, I might add, and I can watch a video um, on my iPad and read. I can do anything here. The little just across from me is the little dining room table and seat. Well, I've to be honest, I if I sit here on the couch, I can lean across and have my dinner quite adequately, or I might perch there for a minute and don't tend to use it. And this is what I'm finding is that, as I said when I first did my first video, I think I said, oh, it's just the lack of space. That's all I'm losing. But I'm finding even now I still don't need this space. Like I said, there's a lot of things here I'm just not using. Of course, the other thing to consider is that if I was using the shower and letting the water run down the sink, I would have the problem of having to dispose of my grey water tank, empty it. So by my not using it, by having a bowl, I can go over to the open drain, the stormwater drain that goes into the septic tank. I can just tip the bowl or the bucket of shower stuff into the drain, so I don't have to worry about emptying the grey water tank, which would mean a drive quite a distance to the nearest, I forget what they call them. I think they call them something like a dump station. It never sounds very attractive. But anyway, I mean, you imagine it would cost you money in diesel every time you had to empty all your water. So I'm just finding that it's just, I don't know whether I'm just getting more frugal in my old age, but I'm just finding ways to do things and to wash, for toilets, everything is everything that you need to do in life, you know, the basic necessities. There's always an actual quicker and more simpler way of doing things. So all in all, what I'm discovering is that living in the camper has been a lifesaver for me. It's taught me how to be frugal, how to think outside the box, how to find alternative ways to do things to survive, and not only survive, but actually really thrive. And that's where I've come to now, is I'm at a place where I want to branch out. I want to get a vehicle that I can kit out myself very simply. I don't think I'll have a plumbing. I don't see the need for it. But I've been watching lots of Bob Wells YouTube videos, which are so inspirational for anyone who wants to live this kind of lifestyle. And I want to have a go at doing it, because I think I can make my life so much more simpler by really paring back. Is it paring back things? Paring? I don't know. You know what I mean. I always get my words all mixed up. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. What I want to say is, and to encourage you, that there are better ways and easier ways. Life doesn't have to be difficult, and I'm finding a newfound confidence and excitement about the next stage of my journey. And I hope that you'll stick around and see me thrive. I have quite a lot of optimism about it. So thanks again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again here next time. Have a great week, and bless you all. Bye-bye for now.